Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Welcome to Ask Rob and Rob. It's the show where we answer your property questions. And the show, of course, starts with you. So we like to make it really simple for you to send your questions our way.
We do. Head over to propertyhub.net/ask. That's propertyhub.net/ask. There, you can leave us a message. You can call us and leave a voicemail if you prefer. Or if you want to write in with your question, we have our wonderful column in the Sunday Times each and every Sunday in the home section. So if you want to get your question in that way, you can as well. First question's in from Rhys.
Just coming on for a bit of advice, really. I've been in the construction industry for most of my life. I'm 27 now, mainly doing groundworks and some home renovations, etc. as a job. But due to a disability, I can't really work on building sites and stuff anymore. So I've been made unemployed, although I have saved up enough money for a deposit on a house. And recently I have got some inheritance off a family member of around £150,000. Me and my girlfriend have just bought a place where we will be moving in, renovating it and then flipping it. And we were planning on doing this with multiple properties. Eventually, my end goal would be to have multiple properties to rent out. And I was just wondering if you guys had any tips and stuff on what would be the best way to go about doing this. And the only problem is where I'm unemployed now, I can't really leverage mortgages and stuff like that. So yeah, I was just wondering if you guys had any tips on how to sort of speed the process up, really, with us getting to the point where we can end up owning places to rent out.
Hey Rhys, thanks for your question. And yes, you could just go straight into this strategy, to state the obvious, and just buy cash. It is a viable strategy, and depending on where you are, you'll be able to buy a property for that amount or less and have enough to do a refurb. Of course, if you're in the southeast, makes it a little bit more difficult. But if you are anywhere else in the country, certainly plausible. Now, you are right in identifying that getting a mortgage would be extremely difficult in your circumstances. And I don't know the level of your disability or the challenges that you have. So if this doesn't work, then, I apologise. But is there a world where you could get a part-time online job, for example, that would allow you to get some income? Maybe putting your partner on the mortgage as well. If she has an income, that's another option you can investigate. And then finally, I would still speak to an experienced mortgage broker. We have experienced mortgage brokers on the podcast on a regular basis. You could try them, or if you've got one already, fantastic. And get them to look at the market. And the reason I say this is there are probably times in the market where you can't get a mortgage, but there are new products coming on all the time. And you don't have to leverage to a high amount. Maybe just a leverage of 50%, for example, would be enough. And the fact that you've got a high deposit may give some lenders comfort that you're going to be in an okay position to do it. I'm not saying that products are out there, but what I do know is products come on and off the market all the time. And as lenders get more confidence, the range of products and the appetite for risk they're willing to take does increase. So even if the answer is no today, I would check back once a year just to see if there's anything new on the market. So maybe for your first refurb, it's not possible. But maybe by the time you do the second one, especially if you have some experience now in doing this as well, there might be an option. So it might be a no today, but it's not necessarily a no forever, because as you would have heard on the podcast, we are massive fans of leverage. And if you can use some leverage, I wouldn't go over the top here, but if you can use some leverage, it will absolutely help you out. So whatever you decide, Rhys, best of luck, but absolutely add a mortgage broker to your network and someone that you can speak to on every project that you tackle. Best of luck.
Okay, on to our next question.
Hi, Alex here. Been listening to the podcast for about 4 or 5 months, so relatively new listener, and just setting up my property investment limited company to begin investing. I'm targeting HMOs, ideally in the north of England for probably obvious reasons. I live in the south, and what I've realised is that there are a number of brokers, agents, sourcing companies available, but some of them appear more genuine than others. I guess I'm a little bit nervous about working with a remote company to find deals. And so my question really is about, do you think someone in my position who's looking to invest in HMOs remotely should use the services of these so-called HMO sourcing agents? And if so, what would be your advice on the type of DD that I should do beyond the obvious, determine whether or not these are, legitimate companies. Very similar to, I suppose, what you guys offer for off-plan. I'm looking for someone to help me with that from an HMO perspective. Much appreciate your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Really appreciate you listening. We love new listeners. We love old listeners. We love all listeners. We'll take whatever we can get, and we'll try to repay you by answering your question. So you are right to answer this question because, of course, there are plenty of legitimate people operating in this space, but there are also those who are not. And because HMOs are trendy, it's a strategy that appeals to a lot of people because of the higher cash flow that they can produce. It's something that a lot of people are looking for. There are plenty of people who spot this as an opportunity to make some money sourcing deals for investors. It's very hard to tell on the face of it how knowledgeable these people are, what their credentials are, and so on. So the answer, I would say, to keep yourself safe is to do all the research that you think you should do and then some. So what might that look like? Well, you can go on Companies House, you can look at their accounts, you can see how long they've been around for, you can check for anything suspicious, like the fact that they were set up last week, or they've got accounts overdue, or the directors keep changing, or whatever. You can check that they are registered with either the Property Ombudsman or the Property Redress Scheme, because you have to be a member of one of those, and check that they're registered with HMRC for AML, because they have to do that as well. That's sort of the technical stuff. But then what about the deals themselves? Well, I would be asking for case studies of deals that they've sourced recently. Ideally, get the addresses. Go see them if you can. At the very least, look them up. Look at the land registry. See if everything matches up. Ask to see the information that they show investors about past deals, so you can see how much information you could expect to receive. Ask to see the cash flows that they produce and all the financial information, because then for a past deal, you can go and check that. If they said it would achieve a certain rent, did it? You can go and assess that for yourself. If they said something was below market value, was it? You can go and run all your own analysis. But then I'd go further than that again. And ideally, especially if you're talking about a solo operator here, which most people in this space are, they're either solo or very small companies, go and meet them, because you'll learn so much more from talking to them face to face than you will do by swapping messages or whatever. Ideally, speak to past clients of theirs as well. This might sound a bit extreme, but the way to think about this is the idea of working with a sourcing company of any kind. So we do this for investors. The idea of working with us is that they then don't have to go and do any of the work of finding deals, talking to agents, negotiating deals, getting it all set up, all that stuff. So you're saving all that downstream effort. So it's worth putting some effort into making sure that you've got that relationship right. And with HMOs, it's even more important to do that because the market is so fragmented and because HMOs are so much more complex. There's far more to think about in terms of licensing and rental demand and all the rest of it. And if you just can't get comfortable with someone, if you don't find someone who you have complete conviction in, then there are other options as well. It is possible to do it yourself from a distance. Obviously, I don't know your personal situation, how much time and flexibility you've got, but it is possible to go and batch your viewings, spend some time there, get everything set up. It's also possible to take a hybrid approach where you find someone locally on the ground to go and do the viewings for you and be your eyes and ears while you do the rest of it from home. There are lots of ways of making this work. There are also lots of ways of getting this wrong. But from the fact that you're asking this question, gives me confidence, Alex, that you're going to do your research and you're going to get it right. So good luck.
So that's just done for another week. Thank you for listening, and hopefully you will join us again on Thursday for the Property Podcast. And if you're really keen, you'll be opening the pages of the Sunday Times on Sunday to see us answering your questions there. Until those wonderful events take place, take care, have fun, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.